My name is Nick Berry, and this is the second week of Immersion. So I'm just gonna throw this entire video, and so for the second week of Immersion, we did more Toshindo, more meditation, more archery, finished Peaceful Warrior the movie, and we started The Matrix. Starting with the Peaceful Warrior the movie, like my expectation, the movie's good. I like the movie. It's sort of cool because it's an enjoyable movie, and there's not so much like James Bond type explosions and all of this type of junk that you see today. But however, there's a bit of a problem with the movie, and the problem with the movie is that it instills this false sense of hope into all of its viewers that are watching. And the problem with that is you'll have people who go to the movies, watch this amazing movie about this man who, who's a total prick, to be honest. He's just a total prick, and he ends up changing into being like this super compassionate, understanding, eye-opening, I see the world type of guy. And so after he breaks his leg, in a motorcycle accident, he's like finishing this. Becomes like a finishing this. So the problem with that is that then it installs this false sense of hope into its viewers. People they're watching the movie, and they'll be like, whoa, I think I can do that. And it's only been 2 hours that they've been sitting there watching this movie, and they're already thinking to themselves, in 2 hours I can change my life. And the problem with that is, how many people are actually going to meet a guy at a gas station who's going to save their lives from themselves, or save whoever they are? And the answer is probably no one, to be brutally honest. Okay, so the main character, Dan, does. I don't know if that's actually what happened with him in real life, but, the movie's based off a true story. So, how many people are you gonna meet at a gas station who's gonna change their life that you've never met before, and you've met out of a dream? So, yeah, not really gonna happen. So why is the movie relevant to us? Well, it actually teaches us that we can be human beings, and legitimate human beings. Society sort of paints this picture of, teenagers being assholes, or, that everybody should like this brand of clothing, or that, everybody needs to act this way. And the problem with that is we then become brainwashed, and instead of our body actually wanting to be a certain human being, we're listening to our egos, which are expanding from all this information, and are just sucking it all in. And the problem with this is that how are we ever supposed to live who we want to live if we're constantly accepting all this stupid crap and stupid bullshit from what's inside of our heads, or from what our ego claims to be? It's just impossible to actually live your own life unless you get rid of the ego from the equation. And that's what Dan does. And Dan finally is able to live his life, no longer in all this pain and suffering and all this bull crap that he used to be living in, thinking that he's worthless, or he isn't good enough, or whatever it may be. So that's what I got out of the Peaceful Warrior, the movie. Now that we're moving into The Matrix, that's based more off society, and how everything is just a big painted picture of non-reality. And it's really fascinating because it's we go our entire lives living a dream, and we never wake up. And that's what The Matrix really stresses, is that we go our entire lives never knowing the actual truth of who we are. So while we're not entirely finished with the Matrix yet, it has already taught us that society isn't what we think it is. And it's actually not promoting you as a human being, it's rather promoting your ego. And what's funny about your ego is your ego always wants to be, in this safe environment. Well, what happens when you push it out of that safe environment? And that's what meditation's for. It's pushing your ego out of your safe environment. Now, what's cool about meditation is it's not always about pain and suffering. It's actually about finding your center human being, really. Because, like I was saying before, society sort of like paints this picture that we all try to follow, but it's not actually what we want to follow. And so meditation enables us to find this centerpiece or this type of center that we want. One thing that's really funny that our teacher, Mr. Squires, had told us is we are told all throughout our lives to say certain things just to reactions. And he was telling us this story about how, there's this other immersion, and they go sailing, and they all, have to live in a boat for like a couple of weeks or so. So apparently this one person is complaining like all the time, and he goes, and they're literally on like one of the most beautiful places in the world, and he goes up to him and he asks, how's your day been going? And they say it's great, they're in the Bahamas and everything. But he knows that's total bullshit from what they're actually feeling. And he knows that because they've been, complaining and, bitching the whole day long. And how is that even relevant to also this video and this conversation? Well, we say things that we actually don't mean. Where does that come from? Reverts right back to our ego. We say things that don't actually, have the real intentions that we want. And we end up spewing out a lot of just bull crap from what we want. And so what I learned this week from immersion is that we live most of our lives without even knowing what we want to do. And the sooner that you live your life knowing what you want to do, like actually knowing what you want to do and not something that's been placed there from people telling you that you want to do that, or from society saying you should do that, we're going to keep living this fake life until we actually realize it. And that's really my overall point that I learned from immersion so far, is that unless you're able to rid yourself of all these fake ideals and actually live in the present time, not all this stupid past crap and all this other stupid stuff that has no relevance to you. It's going to be literally impossible to be the human being that you want to be. This week has been pretty intense, and I've enjoyed it a lot because it's taught me a lot of things. Actually, I really do think that this is going to sit for me for hopefully the rest of my life. And the fact of, I'm able to live the life that I want to. And that is week 2 in a nutshell. Pretty long nutshell, I do know that. So, don't worry, it's going to be music. And we'll see how 3rd week goes. I'm sure it's going to be freaking awesome. And I actually think I'm going to see if I can do video logs instead. And then, write down sort of like these main points, because video logging is pretty easy to talk to. Except I don't think I'm really good at it. But we'll see how it goes.